G'day, hello, I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us for our first video for 2024 for Australia only, as we kick off with all this low pressure around the country at the moment. And most of you will know it's been a busy few weeks with thunderstorms and flooding in places. That is not going to change anytime soon with all this low pressure around at the moment. 1, 2, 3 lows in the top, another one down here in the southwest and another one in the southeast. So remarkable actually how much low pressure there is. Adelaide is the area with the highest amount of air pressure at the moment, and if you want to get even more into high pressure, you've got to get on a boat out into the middle of the Great Australian Bight. So otherwise, yeah, low pressure making for instability. This is the one up here that's likely to form into a cyclone. So with these airflows at the moment, it actually means Adelaide 23 degrees. That'll be your coolest day of the next several days as it comes in here. So Adelaide's going to be around about 23, mostly dry though. Sydney's only 24 at the moment. Brisbane, you've got a showery week with all that low pressure, but it is warm and humid for you. But the other place that's cold is Perth. Oh, I shouldn't say cold, cool. 24 degrees for you. So not as stifling hot as those winds come off the sea. That's going to change, but for now, enjoy the break. So let's have a look at what is coming on in. Plenty of tropical rain up here to the north. Concerning amounts, actually up to 200 millimetres or more for some areas here south of Katherine. You could be seeing some flash flooding as a result of that and these daily thunderstorms. Similar story around parts of Queensland as well, although it's a bit more isolated for you. And elsewhere, not so bad, although the showery weather, as I mentioned, is stuck in that Brisbane area really for the next week ahead. So let's have a look at Friday's setup. There is the low that's likely to become a tropical cyclone. These are the thunderstorms that are going to form as the day goes on. That's just the risk zone. Not everybody gets a downpour in the middle of that. So if you're somewhere like Charleville, it may be further out to the west where you get it, or it might be smack bang over the top of you. That is the hit and miss nature of these downpours, but it's dry pretty much everywhere else. Melbourne's a bit cooler though as the high comes on in. Your high 19 to 20 degrees, not very much, 19 or 20 I should say. Cloudy for you, similar story as we go into Monday as well with those temperatures. Broome, 32 degrees, you've got showers, you've got plenty of showers in fact in the forecast. Whether or not they fall over the top of Broome or in the area, that's the harder one to lock in. So as we go on into the weekend, the storm up here definitely deepening now. It may well be named as early as this weekend as a tropical cyclone, maybe Sunday, Monday at the latest, but it is rapidly deepening in the most ideal conditions out at sea. Perth, that windy easterly kicks back in again. So from Perth to Geraldton, all the way up the western coastline, as far north really as Port Hedland, you'll start to get those hotter winds. So 30 degrees in Perth on Saturday, low 30s in fact. That'll be your hottest day of the next 7 days coming up. Now, Sydney's turn to have its hottest day of the next week. That'll be on Sunday, 30 to 34 degrees for you across Sydney as that red line that measures air thickness, the tropical airflow coming down further across the entire nation. So that's why you're feeling that heat. So Sydney will certainly be warmer. Alice Springs will be windy, got a bit of a brisk east to southeasterly coming through for you. It'll still get to 40 degrees, don't worry. And further down the coastline here, mostly dry. Maybe a few isolated showers, but it does look quite dry. So by next week, Monday is when we think the cyclone's certainly in place now. It'll be named by then. But because of the airflows moving around high pressure further to the south, it'll be tropical all the way down to a point, and then it gets quite cooler. So on Monday, Hobart, your high at this stage is only about 16 degrees. May not be much warmer further north around Lonnie and Devonport and other places like that. Even Curry, all those areas are slightly cooler with that airflow here on Monday. And that means other areas further around Victoria, Ballarat, 19 degrees. Not overly warm. That's your coolest day of the next week, Ballarat, on Monday for you. But if you go further north, places like Orange in New South Wales, sunny and you're around 30 degrees. So it does make a difference, that red line, for the temperatures. So by Tuesday, our cyclone up here is still well out at sea. So it may be a bit windy, surf's up, if you like surfing. That'll probably start to be noticeable from anywhere really from, well, I'll say about Townsville down to north of Brisbane, let's say Rockhampton for now. It will expand or shrink as we figure out exactly the tracking of it. But also on Tuesday, Adelaide will be getting pretty hot with that east to southeast wind blowing through. 34 degrees for you, and on Wednesday as well. Roma, up here further to the north in Queensland, you've got 40 degrees and dry on Tuesday. So some pretty hot weather around. Now, the storm here on Tuesday, the two models that we rely on long range, GFS from America, ECM from Europe, they're the two biggest models in the world. They are showing very similar placement for that storm. So that gives us as forecasters better confidence about where it will likely be. So out at sea for Tuesday next week. And by Wednesday, the air pressure there says 946. The isobars are so closely packed together, it's just a big white blob. Winds in the middle there could be category 5, if this is accurate. So we're getting down to that category 4, category 5 mark when you start to get air pressure as low as that. So this is potentially a major storm to keep an eye on. Further down, the red line drops further. So, you're feeling that summer heat push further down, except for Tasmania. If you want to get a break from the heat, book a flight down there and have a break. Also, if you want dry weather, Hobart and Lonnie, those areas are very dry at the moment and will continue to be. Most of the rain here over on the west coast. Our final map is for Thursday, a week from today, showing where the storm may be. 956 says the modelling on this one, but that will change around in the days ahead. This shows, if this is accurate, it means that anywhere really from about Rockhampton down to about Maroochydore, Brisbane area, will be a bit windy. And obviously this part here around Bundaberg, windiest. But if this is as close as it gets, there won't be too much in the way of severe weather, but the seas could be very damaging, coastal storm surge, things like that. But we've got a long way to go yet. That's still a whole week away. And so the modelling may still move it further inland or further out to sea. So we've got a lot to go yet. But because many of you are already seeing this, we've got to talk about it. We can't pretend that it's not there. But there is uncertainty about where it goes. And some of the long-range modelling, out to the start of February shows it coming into where I am in Auckland, New Zealand. So we will keep a close eye on that. We'll have more information for you next week with our updates. Our New Zealand update on Monday will cover it, and then Tuesday we tend to be a bit more Australia-wide. We'll be covering a bit more of it then. The next 7 days rainfall, well, that shows the storm out at sea here. That's in that 300 millimetre mark in the dark blue. So offshore for now, but this is only till next week. But it does show you that even though it's very close, so you might be a bit blustery, the rain itself for now is out at sea. The heaviest rain up here, Northern Territories, Western Australia, dry almost everywhere else. A few thunderstorms still around Queensland or the New South Wales border. Not much in the way of rain though for New South Wales itself. It is looking much drier, but there will be a few isolated showers and 0 millimetres through that area there. You might get a shower, but mostly it is looking completely dry. So that is all from me. Glad to be back. And like I say, we're back again next week. No video on Friday. Back again on Monday with our next New Zealand video. But we will be talking about the cyclone up around the Coral Sea. And next Tuesday, we'll cover in more detail with our Pacific Islands update. We'll do a lot more about what is going on in the Coral Sea area. So please look forward to those updates. We'll have more information on our Twitter account, X, whatever you want to call it. Weather Watch, you can find us there. We do a lot more updates, and that is also put on our websites. But I think Twitter is probably the easiest one if you're living in Australia. That's all from me. We'll see you again next week. Have a great few days ahead.